Today, I'm sharing exactly what our 2026 homeschool year is going to look like. Curriculum, rhythm, all of it. With a first grader and a preschooler and the toddler who still has zero interest in sitting still. You probably think you need the perfect curriculum picked out. A spotless routine, a plan for every single hour before day one, or the whole year is going to fall apart. But here's the thing, I did that last year. I followed someone else's system to the letter and I ended up starting over and over and over again, chasing something that was never actually attainable for me because I was in a completely different season of life than she was. So today, I'm walking you through what I'm actually using this year, how I handle the mental load and the toddler underfoot, and why I even started homeschooling in the first place, and what you legally need to know for your state. And listen, I don't have this all figured out, but before I was ever a homeschool mom, I was a kindergarten teacher to 30 kids. I've seen what routine does for a room full of littles from the other side of the desk, and now I've lived what it takes to build one at my own kitchen table. So let's start with the fun part, the actual stuff. I know a lot of you clicked on this hoping for the nitty-gritty, so let's dive in. For reading and math, I'm using the good and the beautiful. It's genuinely become the backbone of our homeschool day. My first grader will do reading and math 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, and with some Fridays thrown in there if we need to. For science, I'm going to use the good and the beautiful as well. Some people bring up the Mormon undertones, and I've really never seen it or experienced that myself. And it's really open and go for me, which is exactly what I need in this season. We'll do it Monday, Wednesday, and sometimes Fridays. I'm not killing myself to get it done every single day. For Bible, I'm trying Not Consumed for the first time, the primary foundation series for my first grader, and a standalone preschool Bible study for my 4-year-old. Since they discontinued their preschool line, I grabbed one of the closeout studies. I may even adapt some of the primary lessons for my preschooler too, depending on how he does with it. Read-alouds happen all day long. If my kids bring me a book, I try not to say no, plus a chapter book at lunch. We're starting with The Wild Robot and letting our interests take us from there. And one picture book per kid before bed. That's already part of our normal bedtime routine, so that's not even something new we're adding, it's just it naturally counts. Read-alouds are really non-negotiables in our household. For preschool, I'm using Playing Preschool by Busy Toddler. I eat the meat and spit out the bone. It has a lot of great information, but if I feel like it's getting too repetitive, we skip it or we change it. I'm not afraid to improvise here. Outside of curriculum, which counts too, my son is starting ukulele through Voetberg, a music academy. He got a ukulele for his birthday and I dropped the ball on lessons until now. We're at our local library constantly, not just for books, but for their programs. And if your library doesn't have much, check the surrounding ones too. You shouldn't have to travel far for good programs. For supplies, you need less than you think. Pencils, markers, crayons, glue sticks, paper, a simple printer, whiteboard, dry erase markers, tape. You probably own most of this stuff. An iPad is nice too, but it is not necessary at this age. One thing I genuinely recommend having on hand is a simple craft stash. Think pipe cleaners, cotton balls, popsicle sticks, googly eyes, pom-poms. We already keep those stocked and it makes spontaneous crafting so much easier. If you don't have this stuff yet, it's easy to build this up. Ask for it as gifts or grab it at garage sales. Now, the toddler. This is the part everyone asks about. And here's the truth. They will adapt to your rhythm, even if it doesn't feel like it on some days. Practically, this looks different day to day. Some mornings I move table work to nap time because that's the quiet stretch that I've got. Some mornings I adapt the activity so my toddler can actually be a part of it. He gets his own crayons and a blank page of paper when my first grader does his table work, or a set of measuring cups and a bin of dry rice while we do a science lesson. Some mornings I set my older two up with something that they can do semi-independently, and I take my toddler into another room for 10 minutes for one-on-one time. And this depends on how responsible the older two are being that day. Some mornings I lean simply on a busy bag or a snack tray I've already prepared ahead of time, just to buy myself a few more focused minutes. There is no surefire way to make every homeschool day smooth with a toddler underfoot. Some days it's genuinely chaos, but it matters that he feels like he's part of the family's work too, not just something being managed around the corner, because this is how he learns where he fits in this family, even before he's old enough for a curriculum of his own. Here's why I'm being specific with you. Last year, I followed a homeschool mom online whose actual job was posting homeschool comment and whose youngest was the same age as my oldest. I did not have the bandwidth of a mom or a woman who had 3 kids ahead of me, and I overdid it badly. And I'm still recovering from that season a little bit, if we're being real. So let's talk about that next. So the curriculum was never actually the hard part. The hard part is the mental load. Recognizing a hard day and changing course instead of pushing through it, because pushing makes it not fun for anyone. Bringing your kids into your actual life, like chores together, baking, a project instead of just schooling them all the time. Taking care of yourself spiritually and physically, eating well, moving your body in whatever form that looks like for you, staying in your Bible, getting outside even for 10 minutes, and structure. Get a planner. Have a plan, because kids genuinely thrive on routine. I saw this firsthand as a kindergarten teacher to 30 kids. They loved knowing what was coming next, even when the sameness wasn't always fun for the adults in the room. It will feel repetitive, sometimes too for you. Doing the same rhythm day after day, that's just part of it. The repetition that feels boring to us is often what makes them feel safe. And I want to speak to the fear underneath all of this, the fear that you'll mess up their education, that you'll lose yourself being with them all day, that their socialization will suffer, and that people will judge you for this choice. I hear you, I hear you. Those fears are real, but none of them mean that you can't do this. If this feels like a lot to hold in your head all at once, that's exactly why I put together a free Homeschool Starter Sheet. It's got a simple one-page daily rhythm you can fill in for your own family, plus the curated list of everything that I've mentioned today, so you don't have to scramble to write it all down. I'll drop the link below. Lamentations chapter 3, verse 22 to 23 says, "His mercies are new every morning." I hold on to that a lot in this season. Some days genuinely don't go how I pictured them, and I get to wake up the next morning with a clean slate instead of carrying yesterday's mess into it. And that's the same grace I want you to give yourself here. You are allowed to change your mind. If a curriculum has stopped working, stop. If your rhythm isn't working, shift table time to a different hour, or scrap the whole plan and start over. This doesn't have to be forever if it's not working. You're just paying attention to what your family actually needs. But give it real time first. Don't scrap something after one hard day or even a hard first couple of weeks. Give it a solid 30 days before you decide. Most things feel clunky at first simply because they're new, not because they're wrong for your family. Once I gave myself that grace, I could actually figure out what our own way looked like. And that's where this whole thing started for us. Our homeschool story didn't start with some big, sweeping vision of our kids' education. It started a lot more simply than that. We started because we didn't love our kids' schooling experience after we moved to Michigan, but it grew into something bigger than that reason. We started valuing the time with our kids, fostering closer family relationships. We saw shorter actual book work time meant more time to explore. We got to instill our own beliefs and values and lay a real foundation for their faith. And there's something about time in nature moving their bodies. I found this especially true for my boys, though girls can benefit too, that a normal school day just doesn't have room for. Our approach leans Charlotte Mason, nature study, living books over dry textbooks, short focused lessons instead of long drilling, and character formation rooted in scripture. Close second for us is Wild and Free, that same heart loosened up for modern life with nature and community and faith woven into daily rhythms instead of boxed into a subject. If Charlotte Mason feels too structured for your family, Wild and Free is worth looking into directly. Strong online community, podcasts, published guides, they have so much information. There are so many other approaches too worth researching. Classical Christian, Waldorf, unschooling, Montessori, eclectic homeschooling, Thomas Jefferson, unit studies. If you want a place to start reading, Teaching from Rest, The Read-Aloud Family, Wild and Free, and Honey for a Child's Heart, the updated edition, are the books that all started it for me. None of this was about following a trend for us. It's just what ended up fitting our family. Now, before you build any of this out for your own family, there's one practical thing you need to check first, and it takes just 5 minutes. Homeschool laws are different in every state, and this scares a lot of moms off before they even start. HSLDA breaks it into 4 tiers. No notice required, about 11 states in this category, including Michigan, where parents don't need to inform anyone. Low regulation, you notify the state, That's the extent of it. No testing or curriculum approval. And then moderate regulation, notification plus things like standardized testing or specific hour requirement, and high regulation, the strictest requiring notice, detailed curriculum, documentation, regular testing. As of 2026, that's Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Vermont, with Massachusetts being the only state requiring prior approval before you remove your child from school. I'll link the HSLDA below so you can check your state in under 5 minutes. For more support, look into homeschool.com, local co-ops through Facebook groups or a Google search, your public library, and homeschool conventions in your state. And that's just scratching the surface. There are so many more resources out there, and a lot of them are going to be specific to wherever state you're in, so it's worth doing a little digging beyond this list too. This isn't something to stress over, but it's not a total set it and forget it thing either. Laws can change, so it's worth checking your state's requirements again each year just to be sure nothing's shifted. It's still just a quick 5-minute check, so don't let it turn into one more thing weighing on you. So curriculum, supplies, the mental load, taking care of yourself, why we even started and how we approach it, and the legal stuff. That's the whole list, made small. If you came in wondering whether you can actually do this with littles underfoot, you can. It's not going to look like anyone else's homeschool, and it doesn't need to. You get to build something that fits your family, your season, and your kids. And if something's not working a few weeks in, you get to change it. No guilt required. You don't have to start over and over the way I did, chasing someone else's homeschool instead of building your own from day one. And if you want a simple place to start, grab that homeschool starter sheet I mentioned that links right below. If this one was helpful or you got even one thing out of it, let me know in the comments. I would genuinely love to make this a regular series and walk through this whole homeschool year with you.